Why were you not appreciated before 1966? I thought I was. By the time you get actual winning of it, are you sort of numb? Yeah, your name isn't called, and I don't know what that. Lee Marvin, the rugged star of Hollywood and former Marine who bled on Saipan, was famous throughout his life for his uncompromising bluntness. This man who always valued truth unexpectedly revealed a shocking list near the end of his life. 7 actors he considered the most ruthless of Hollywood's golden age. Among them was someone who built the image of a heroic soldier, yet was found to have done everything possible to avoid World War II duty. Another boasted of having been with over 1,000 women, treating them only as entertainment tools. And there was even a legendary figure known for loyalty and love, who in reality engaged in open affairs and pressured a mistress into an unlawful abortion. So who were these 7 names, and why did Lee Marvin only dare to reveal them when death was near? John Wayne, the false hero who dodged woe with duty. In the 1940s, when America was engulfed in World War II, images of young men lining up in New York or Los Angeles to enlist filled the newspapers. James Stewart left behind Hollywood glory to pilot bombers for the U.S. Air Force. Clark Gable volunteered after his wife Carol Lombard died in a fundraising flight for the military. Even Henry Fonda donned the Navy uniform, leaving the studio behind. But while Hollywood gave its all to the war, John Wayne chose a different path, finding every reason not to go to the front. Documents published by the Los Angeles Times in 1943 revealed that Wayne submitted multiple deferment requests, citing family hardship and an uninterruptible acting career. Republic Pictures, the studio holding Wayne's contract, was said to have quietly lobbied for his exemption. Harold Stone, a former assistant producer, recalled seeing a fax sent to the War Department bluntly stating, "If John Wayne is drafted, the studio will lose millions of dollars." What angered the public most was how Wayne exploited the war to elevate his image. While his peers lived in bunkers in Normandy or camps in the Pacific, Wayne signed lucrative contracts. Stagecoach had made him a star, but war films turned him into America's heroic face. Films like Flying Tigers 1942 and Back to Bataan 1945 portrayed him as a brave soldier, though he never set foot on a battlefield. Lee Marvin, who had been shot at Saipan, considered this a betrayal. In a 1965 interview with New York Times journalist Michael O'Connor, he said, "I saw Wayne in uniform on screen and boiled inside. I lay in a Navy hospital for over a year with a bullet through me while he became the nation's hero. A man like that I can't respect." Beyond avoiding war, Wayne was notorious for divisive remarks. In the 1960s, when anti-war and civil rights movements spread, Wayne sided with extreme conservatives. In a 1971 Playboy interview, he stated, "The Native Americans couldn't hold on to their land, so whites had the right to take it." He also claimed he didn't believe African Americans were ready to be treated as equals. Such words caused outrage and alienated colleagues. On set, Wayne also carried scandals. In 1956, while filming The Searchers, Mexican actress Dolores Del Rio revealed he often mocked her heritage with offensive terms. Critic Richard Schickel later wrote in Time magazine that Wayne pressured young actresses to sign restrictive contracts threatening to cut their roles otherwise. Another disturbing case was during The Conqueror, 1956. Despite warnings about filming in Utah near a nuclear test site, Wayne pressed ahead. Later, dozens of crew members developed cancer, including Wayne himself. Many believed he knew the risks, but stayed silent to protect production. From dodging service, profiting off war, to racist remarks, Wayne's image was very different from his screen persona. To Marvin, he was a hypocrite who glorified himself at the cost of others. Chapter 2. Frank Sinatra, the arrogant star with dark ties. In the mid-1940s, just as America emerged from World War II, a musical frenzy erupted. On stages from New York to Chicago, a warm voice and piercing blue eyes sent crowds of young women screaming and fainting. It was called the Sinatra craze. Yet behind the charming image lurked the shadow of powerful Italian-American mafia figures who used Sinatra's fame to mask money laundering, smuggling, and manipulation in Hollywood. Sinatra was closely linked with notorious mob bosses like Lucky Luciano, Sam Giancana, and Carlo Gambino. At the time, Las Vegas was rising as a gambling haven. The mob poured money into hotels and casinos, and they needed a star to attract middle-class Americans. Sinatra was perfect. Through his shows at the Sands Hotel or Tropicana, millions of dollars were laundered. A declassified 1977 FBI report detailed how envelopes stuffed with cash were handed to Sinatra, after performances then funneled back into Giancana's accounts. He wasn't just a cover star, he was allegedly involved directly. In 1952, Italian police discovered suitcases of contraband flown on Sinatra's private jet under the label Musical Instruments. Young singer Joey Russo, caught in the scheme, was arrested and his career destroyed while Sinatra escaped thanks to a fake diplomatic pass arranged by mafia lawyers. Russo disappeared from the industry. Sinatra went on performing at Madison Square Garden as if nothing happened. His personal life was equally turbulent. His marriage to Ava Gardner, once hailed as golden, was marred by violence and jealousy. In 1953, at the Beverly Hills Hotel, Sinatra hurled a bottle at the wall after seeing Gardner talk to director John Huston. A waiter later told the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner Ava was crying while Frank shouted he'd ruin the career of anyone who took her away. Gardner later admitted in her diary she lived in constant fear during his rages. Sinatra was also rumored to have pressured a young actress into an abortion. Journalist Shirley D'Angelo hinted at this in a 1964 Variety article, noting a promising starlet whose future was destroyed after involvement with Frank. Her identity remained secret, but many believe she had been under MGM's wing before vanishing from Hollywood. Sinatra's temper extended to journalists. In 1957, at the Fontainebleau Hotel in Miami, he slapped a Miami Herald reporter for asking about mafia rumors. Though widely reported, the story was quickly buried under mob pressure. Colleagues described avoiding him not for lack of talent, but because he disrupted productions, arriving late, walking out early, forcing crews to work around him. Lee Marvin despised such arrogance. At a 1966 Palm Springs party, Sinatra showed up nearly 2 hours late, stayed 15 minutes, and left. Marvin muttered to a friend, "He lives off the shadows behind him, not his voice. A man like that I'll never respect." Sinatra's secrets exposed how Golden Age Hollywood was shaped not only by talent but also by mafia hands pulling strings. A golden voice could erase any wrong while victims vanished into silence. Chapter 3. Tony Curtis, the Playboy Prince Addicted and Hollow. In the 1950s, when Hollywood sought a handsome rival to Marlon Brando and James Dean, Tony Curtis stormed in. With his striking looks, perfect physique, and dazzling smile, Curtis was hailed as Hollywood's prince. Studios treated him like a money machine, and the press called him the charmer of every gaze. But behind the glamour was a scandal-ridden life that Lee Marvin scornfully called a walking doll. Curtis boasted openly that he had been with over 1,000 women. His romantic entanglement stretched from A-list stars to unknown girls. His first marriage to Janet Leigh seemed dreamy, and the pair were a golden couple. But behind the glossy Life magazine covers, Lee often suffered silently. In 1960, while filming Spartacus, Curtis was caught with Christine Kaufman, nearly 20 years his junior. The revelation exploded, and his marriage ended 2 years later.